Okay, you already know what's going on. This is part 2 of busting 10 bad money tips in 5 minutes. If you have not seen part 1, what are you doing? But don't leave yet, you're already here. Finish watching this, then go watch part 1 because I'm trying to make a little series for you. A little series. All right, I'm gonna get into busting these 10 bad money tips. You get into busting that like button. Now keep in mind that this is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor and these opinions are my own. Everyone has debt, so it's okay. Yeah, okay, everyone has debt, but that doesn't mean you should be everyone. Also, when is ever doing something that everybody is doing a good idea? For instance, in the mid-1960s, literally everyone was smoking. Debt makes you a slave until it's paid off because any money that you're making, you don't really own until that debt is gone. Proverbs 22 verse 7 says, "The rich roll over the poor and the borrower is slave to the lender." Regardless of what you believe, if you owe money, you're a slave to the lender until that money is paid off. Now, obviously, there are exceptions like a mortgage and then some credit cards. We're gonna get into that in a second.
Also, life happens, debt happens. You just want to try to avoid, if you can, the habits that cause debt.
Credit cards are bad. Okay, this is outdated thinking. So yes, on the last tip, I just told you that debt is bad, but I think credit cards can be one of the few exceptions where you can actually use it for good. For instance, if you treat your credit card like a debit card and only buy things that you can afford right then, well then you can get rewarded pretty nicely for using a credit card instead of a debit card. Now, of course, you need to be responsible with a credit card, and a great way to do that is to set up automatic payments. So if you're doing that and you're treating it like a debit card and you're only buying things that you can't afford, then it can be a really good move. You have to diversify your investments. Okay, there is some truth to this, but I think we need to take a deeper look. For instance, look at Warren Buffett and how he invests. He is literally called the greatest investor of all time, and he doesn't really diversify. At least not when it comes to stocks. His company's portfolio is 49.1% all Apple stock. Almost half of his portfolio is in one company. That is not diversified at all. But he's making a calculated decision based off of the market trends that he's seeing and where he thinks Apple is headed. So diversification in itself is a good way to hedge yourself against risk. But I think it's super important to not just do what people say will make you rich, but instead to watch what the actual rich people are doing. If you're approved for a loan, you can afford it. Okay, yeah, this is trash. Okay, so last year I was making less than $40,000 a year, but I could qualify for a $300,000 loan. Now, could I afford that? Absolutely not. And without a huge down payment on that loan, I would have insane monthly payments that would absolutely drain me. You also have to think about who it is that's approving you for that loan. It's probably some sort of financial institution that makes money off of you. So they probably aren't too incentivized to make sure you can actually afford the loan. You need a 6-month emergency fund. Okay, pretty much any finance tip that is served to you with the pretense of you need to blank, take it with a grain of salt. It is totally a good idea to have an emergency fund, but you may not need 6 months. That's gonna be totally contingent on what your money's looking like. So what someone else might need for an emergency fund may not be what you need. You can save for retirement later. Okay, nope. Heck no. Not a good idea. Not a good plan, man. When it comes to retirement, you should start ASAP. Here's a good way to see it. Every dollar that I spend as a 23-year-old is worth $116.72 by the time I'm 65. And that's just based off the stock market doing what it's always done. But it's the earlier years of investing that really fuel the compound interest. So, for instance, if I shave off 5 years of not investing, that $1 by the time I retire is now worth $66.23. I literally cut the interest of my future investments in half by not starting 5 years earlier. Compounding interest is an insanely powerful thing. And if you really want it to work its magic on your money, then you need to get it started as soon as possible. Buy as much house as you can afford. It always goes up. Okay, no. This is trash. For instance, if you bought as much house as you could afford in 2008 because you thought it was just gonna keep going up, well, it would have been over 10 years before you even started seeing any equity in the house. The market is unpredictable, and it's normally not a good idea to ball out just for the sake of balling out. Deals save you money. Probably not. I love when I see people bragging about deals on things that they weren't planning on buying in the first place. Because if you weren't planning on buying it, then it's not a deal. It's called marketing, and somebody just got you to spend money that you weren't gonna spend. That's the opposite of a deal. That's a myth. Always buy food in bulk. It's cheaper. Okay, the thinking here is good, but once again, it's rare that one concept is gonna be right for everybody. Because unless you're buying food that literally never goes bad, or if you just have a huge family that just inhales food, buying in bulk can actually make you spend more because stuff ends up going to waste and then you need to buy it again. And I hate to admit this, but there have been so many times where I bought like the extra big boxes of cereal because I was like, hey, I like cereal. But it would take me so long to go through it that by the time I get halfway, the lower half is already totally stale. And then I throw it away, and then that ends up costing me more because I have to buy more cereal. I just want passive income. You probably don't, actually. There's been so much talk about passive income recently. I know you think that you just want to sit there and make money while doing nothing, but you actually probably don't. You will genuinely get so bored. But also, passive income is hardly ever really passive. Outside of dividend stocks and investments, most sources of passive income took years of blood, sweat, and tears to get to the point where they were passive. So you might see someone with passive income, but you probably have no idea what it took for them to get that started, and you might not be willing to do what it took for them to get that started. Okay, that is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment for the algorithm, and I'll see you guys next time.